All right, those of you tuning into the replay, I'm so excited to introduce our guest, Miss Bree Oriard. Now, Bree, I want to introduce everyone with the stats that you gave us, but I also have something fun I'm gonna read here too. Um, all right, so Bree came to Symmetry in mid-January of 2024, so she's been here just over a year and a half. Became a top producer in her fourth month. She was a teacher, came here from teaching, top producer in her fourth month, became an agency owner in her seventh month, was the number two rookie producer of the entire year in 2024 in all of Symmetry. She was the agency owner impact player of the year award in 2024. Her highest month of submit is 45,000 APV. And because of all of those stats, Bree, we're going to talk about getting off to a fast start, which of course is a forte of yours and you lived it and did it. But I reached out to Craig, who's a really, really good friend of mine. And I said, hey, Craig, I want you to write up a fun introduction for me so I can introduce Bree well. And he did not disappoint. So
I
this
bet
is,
you didn't.
he did not. So this is Craig's words. But guys, I want you to hear this introduction. All right, guys. Buckle up, close your eyes, and hang on tight. That's an inside joke she will love, apparently, because our guest speaker tonight is an absolute rocket of a leader. When Bree Oriard came into this business, she did not tiptoe in. She didn't test the waters. She cannonballed straight into the deep end and started making waves. She hit agency owner at lightning speed, literally as fast as humanly possible. If there was a NASCAR lane for promotions, she was driving it with the pedal smashed to the floor. As the number two rookie producer at Symmetry in 2024, Bree is the definition of blazing out of the gate. She's proof that success loves speed, but she does it with grace, excellence, and precision. She embodies the core values here at Symmetry. She is not only an incredible producer, but a wife, a mother, a friend to many, and leader of leaders. So get your notebooks ready, get your energy up, and help me give a huge welcome to the one and only Bree Oriard. That was
Aw,
really fun.
aw, that was really sweet. I'm gonna have to pay Craig after I get off this call.
You might have to pay him. I will often ask people to write that, write something for their people that are on here. That was the best one by far. Like he nailed that.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
Cool.
had to hold back
Well,
some tears there.
how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. So thank you so much for having me. And it's always good. We've kind of been connecting more recently because I was obviously ghosting you for a year.
Took
So
me so long to get your number.
I know. I know. I'm hard apparently to get a hold of.
I would see Bree on these calls that we would both be on, and I'd be in the comments like, "Hey Bree, I'd love to have you on a call. Can I get your number?" She never wrote back to me. I'm like, "Oh, I guess she don't. I guess we're not gonna be friends." Turns
No.
out she just didn't read the comments very well, apparently.
Yeah, I usually am in the comments, so I don't know
Hmm,
what it was. Yeah, just really focused on the call, like, apparently.
that's
But
great.
I'm here now,
Well,
so thank
yeah,
you.
I'm so glad we connected. I'm so glad you're here. Let's start from the beginning. You were a teacher.
Yeah.
And what about teaching was like, wait a minute, I need more than this. And then, once you start opening up the can of worms, that could be more. Like, what made you settle at Symmetry as that more?
So, yeah, I taught fourth grade in public school for many years, about 8 years. And it was just kind of the same. I wasn't getting paid any more, was working like crazy. And there was just I love being with the kids, but there were a lot of things that I didn't love about it. And so I kind of dabbled in some other things. I was a flight attendant for a little bit. I did kind of massage and guided meditations and things like that for a little bit. But nothing really felt right. And I wanted, like we all talk about, I wanted time freedom and I wanted financial freedom. And so I stumbled upon this opportunity. It was Craigslist ad that I found, and it was, just unrealistic. The ad itself was like emojis everywhere, and I, took a screenshot of it, and I like showed my husband, and I'm like, look at that, what the heck is this? Is this real? And I kept coming back to it over and over again, and just something was calling me back to it. And so I decided, well, what the heck? I don't have anything to lose. So I got on a call with Craig, and he's the real deal, and of course he's so inspiring. And so yeah, I decided to really kind of give this some thought. Now, I didn't jump in right away. So that was October of 2023. And I was still very apprehensive. I was skeptical. I didn't think this was a real opportunity. I thought, there's no way that this is possible, that you could come here and make this kind of money in your first year. And so I started joining the calls, and that's, I was just kind of watching, sat back and watched from afar, and saw that these were real people, not, the quintessential like schemy, slimy life insurance agent that you have in your mind before you join this company.
Can I
And
I want to see who in the comments resonates so much with that right now. Put it too in the comments if you're still vetting whether or not this thing is like actually like legit and you're a little bit on the fence about like, is this really possible?
yeah, yep, that
Yeah,
was me
we get it.
for a while, for a couple months. But every week I would get on the calls, and I saw real people. I saw real people with similar backgrounds to me and different backgrounds. And I saw the leaderboards, and I saw what was possible. And okay, Spencer Lazar, I just saw you put a 2. You can't still be vetting this, but Spencer is one of my biggest leaders on my team. Um, so yeah, I just saw that this was a real deal. And so I finally, in December, I started, got into pre-licensing, got my license. Finally it came through in the middle of January. And then at that point, I had seen enough, I had been on enough calls. I saw the vision. And so at that point, I had fully decided, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to full in and do this. I'm not going to dip my toe in. I'm not going to dabble. I am in this, and I'm going to just run.
So what did that look like for you from a practical standpoint as far as investment in time, effort, energy, money? I imagine your husband had to be on board with this and had to kind of like help clear the schedule and do so. What did that practically look like for you guys in your house?
Well, the first thing that I said to my husband is, no matter what, do not let me quit. So I'm going to come to you a lot, probably, and I'm going to want to quit this business. But no matter what I say, or how many tears I have, or whatever, don't let me quit. And it's happened over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And he keeps telling me, sometimes with really kind words, sometimes more harsh, to get back in there. So that was the first thing that I had to establish, that like I needed a support system. So wherever you can find that support system that will keep you engaged and keep you going, because it's so important. Because we hear all the time, the only way to fail is if you quit too soon, right? So I knew that I needed that in place. And then I am really uncomfortable with not knowing how to do things and not being good at something. I don't like that feeling. And so when I came here, and I realized, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all in on this. I wanted to get through the learning curve as quickly as possible. And that was my non-negotiable. And so I was going to just immerse myself in the culture and the calls and the belief. And I knew I had never done sales before. I didn't even have a life insurance policy on myself. But I knew that I'm a fast learner. I knew that I could just absorb as much as I possibly could. And just, if they tell me, at that time it was like, make 50 dials a day. So I'm like, okay, well, if they tell me to make 50, I'm going to make 100, because I want to get through the learning curve as fast as I can. And I quickly realized that the more that I do, the quicker I get through that learning curve. And so I just did more than what most new people do. And instead of, okay, I'm going to just dial 50 dials, it's more about I'm going to dial until I set, for me at that time, it was like I have to set at least 2 appointments. 3 is better, but I am not stopping dialing until I hit 2 appointments. And so I just kept going and kept going. And if I ran out of leads, I was working really old leads for about 6 weeks, the oldest leads, because there was still a part of me, I was all in invested in this business in terms of my time and commitment and my energy and belief, but there was a little bit of self-doubt because I had never done sales, right? And so I'm like, well, I'm going to just buy the cheaper leads knowing that the investment is less, but I'm going to have to work harder. So yeah, you can start with a lesser investment, but you have to work harder. You have to dial more. And overcome more objections. And so I dial through all my leads and I didn't have enough appointments for the week. So I'd buy more, and what's another $50 in leads if you can get another 1 appointment from it? It's worth it. So initially my first month, I really had only spent $250, $300 on leads, which now I look back like, wow, we're telling new agents to spend that per week, right? But it worked for me, fortunately.
Yeah, there's something really powerful in that. One of my favorite books is called Beyond High Performance by Jason Jaggard, and he talks about non-performers, performers, high performers, and then these meta performers. But what defines each of these is the question they ask going into something. So the non-performers are asking the question, what's the least amount I have to do in order to like check the box? The performers are asking, how do I get good at this? How do I do a good job? The high performers are asking, how do I be the best? And then those meta performers are beyond that. They're asking, what's even possible? And looking to even redefine that. And so I watch new agents come in and I can tell which one of these they are by the question they're asking. And so many new agents are so tempted to be like, what's the least I have to do? The least I have to invest in money, the least number of dials I have to make, the least amount. How does this impact my life the least? And I've never heard a success story from somebody that started with the question, what is the least I have to do? Every success story sounds a lot like yours.
Mhm.
I came in here and asked the question, how do I get really good at this? And I did those things instead of what's the absolute minimum. That is a big differentiator for a lot of people. And I want you guys to catch that she just asked a different question than a lot of people ask. Even if you weren't even aware you asked that question, that's based on what you did, is likely the question you were asking.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to come in here with no ego. I had no experience at all. So I'm not here like trying to reinvent the wheel. I see that what these people before me have done are doing have worked. And so why reinvent the wheel? I'm just going to do what they tell me to do. I'm going to do it exactly. If they tell me to say something a certain way, I'm going to say it that way, So, and yeah, we're going to be the best actors and actresses when it comes to mimicking tone and posture and all of those things for the people that have come before us.
Yeah, I have a brand new agent. I'm seeing if he's on here tonight. I don't know that he is. No, he's not on here tonight, but he was talking to me yesterday and he's been going through the script. He's like, I'm going through the script. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like me. He's like, I'm going to take the day and really kind of work over and make the script my own. I said, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, as a quarterback, you can't call the coach doesn't want you calling an audible until you know how to run the base play. Get really good at the script exactly how it is. And then once you're already good, then personalize it, make it your own, but don't get obsessed with changing what works before you've even proven to master what works.
Yep,
So
absolutely. I still have my script sitting on my desk, even though I have it memorized. And yes, there are some things I've tweaked, and I tell this to all the time, but it's like my little security blanket. It's like I have to have my script there, even though I know I don't need it at all. But I didn't change a darn thing in that script until I had written well over $150,000 worth of business, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you, in your fourth month,
Yeah.
hit top producer. That's $20,000 issued on your own pen 2 months in a row.
Hmm.
I've been in business here now over 3.5 years. I only have a handful of top producers in my entire agency. You did that in 4 months. What did you do, Bree? How did the learning curve seemingly not exist for you? And I know it did because there's no way to bypass it.
Yeah.
Was it just a matter of massive action and you just did so much more? Walk me through the lessons you learned and the workflow that you had to do in order to make that achievement so fast.
Um, so, I came on board in middle of January, and in February was the Ignite conference, middle of February. So I had been at this company for a month, and went to Ignite. And that was an absolute game changer for me. So if you have not been to a conference, you need to get yourself to Ignite. It will change the trajectory of your business. And I bought my ticket when I still wasn't appointed with Symmetry. I just had heard that, conference changes you. And if you want to be successful in this business, you've got to get there. And so I want to be successful in this business. So of course, I'm going to do exactly what they tell me to do. So I got an Ignite ticket, showed up. Of course, I was so nervous. Again, still with that mindset of like, what if all these people are just, slimy insurance agents?
And you don't even know them. I mean, you talked to Craig on the phone from a gross emoji ad.
Yeah, exactly. And been with the company for a month, so had no idea. But I show up, and the biggest takeaway, and this is the same with every conference I've been to since, it's not like I got all of these tools and nuggets and things to put into my toolbox. It's the feeling that you leave conference with. And Danny Young always says that you go to conference in Symmetry and you leave conference with Symmetry in you. And that is exactly what it is. It's the belief. And I thought I had the belief before I went to conference, but no, when you go and experience that with all of those, thousands of people that are experiencing that, and you get to see people on stage like you, Jim, just absolutely bringing the house down and showing what's possible, you have such a different level of belief that is like deeply rooted in your core that you can come back and you truly, truly trust that you can do anything and that you can make this thing work. And so that was the first like pillar that I needed to have my business take off. So came back from conference, that was in February. In March, wrote over $30,000 worth of business. And it was just, it was, of course, massive action, right? That is so important. Massive action, constant correction. Um, but it's the belief and it's the mindset and it's me knowing that I can make this work and showing up with a different posture, showing up with a different posture on the phone, showing up with a different posture in my appointments, because even though I didn't know everything, okay, I know that this can be done and I know I can do this. So
Mm.
that mindset piece is the number two pillar. Like belief number one, mindset number two.
Yeah, one of the things I think is so important for success stories is to find another person that makes you believe like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. Did you have a person or a handful of people that, for whatever reason, your energy resonated with theirs and you felt like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it? Who were those people for you?
That's a great question. I don't know if there was one or two people. It was just every single person that was on stage and that was in those breakouts. I mean, Ashley Richards shared her story, with homeschooling her kids and, writing 100,000. And I remember Christina Watts was on stage, and yeah, it was just so powerful and empowering, even just to be a part of it. Even though I was, this tiny little agent in the back of the room, not knowing anything, I just was like, wow, I'm a part of something that's really spectacular.
Mm.
And it just brought me to tears over and over that whole week. brought me to tears.
Yeah, and I want to put a plug in here, guys, because Bree, you said something so big there. You said, for me being this, nobody in the back of the room to see, oh, this is much bigger than me.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that you bring in here from an ad or even from a friend, they don't know that this is bigger than just some online thing you do.
Mhm.
That's so important for you, each of you, to not just come to conference and come to Ignite, but get your people there. As long as people think this is just Jim Larson's thing and he's online a lot, it lacks any power compared to here are 5,000 hungry, awesome people that are pursuing. That energy alone opens you up to, wow, this is big. So plug for not just go, get your people
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
It's really so big. I think for me, most people here know my story. I came here and I quit, and then I came back and did really, really incredible things really quickly. But I'll tell you, Bree, for me, the biggest reason that I did what I did when I came back was I knew Jamie and Sarah. When I was here the first time, I knew nobody. I mean, I was friends of friends with Jacob Pogue, but I didn't know him, and I was direct to him. We didn't have even Zoom meetings back then. So it was like free conference call. I'm listening to voices I don't know, names I don't know, rattling off numbers that mean nothing to me. And so there was nobody, and it was COVID, so there was no conference. So there was nobody that made me feel like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. All I saw were people doing it or heard of people doing it, but I didn't know that I resonated with them. It was a lot of like good for them, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Jamie and Sarah do it, I'm like, ha ha ha, I know you. And if you can do it, I can do it. So,
Yeah.
guys, I really want to just tell you how important finding those people really, really is.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to come from someone on stage at conference, like just in the base shop or, in the master agency. I came on board and, Craig coming from a granite shop and being here for half a second and building the agency that he built, it's like, wow, it's so impressive. And Sierra and Angel, being a part of that and coming from, pharmaceutical and, hardware store. It's like it's just it's so incredible what's possible here from any background. It really doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just whether or not you have the grit and the tenacity and the belief to make it work. It's not about your ability and your capabilities and how smart you are. It's really about your tenacity and your belief and your grit.
So you come out of Ignite with a ton of belief. You went in there knowing nothing. You came out of there like, oh, okay, this is legit. I'm going to work. You write 30 grand, issue over 20 in that first month out of Ignite.
Yeah.
Give me some of those metrics. Do you remember like what was your workflow, your lead spend, your dial numbers? Like what sort of time, effort, money investment was it to pull that off?
So March was when I finally started buying some A leads. I was finally, confident enough in myself. Okay, I come back from Ignite. I'm gonna get some A leads. I start with 5 A leads, and then at that time, it's like B3, right? There were B1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at that time, it was B3 leads, which I don't know equates to whatever that is, C, D leads.
Probably C or D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I loved those CED leads. I was having a lot of success on those leads. And I start with 5 A leads. And that's again, it's just okay, this is a big investment, but I want to just, start with those leads. These other leads are working okay for me. And I called my first batch of A leads and they're so like, oh yeah, we're ready for you. Right. And so then I'm like, okay, well, these are great. So ended up going with 10 A leads and then still having some bonus leads mixed in there. And then that was my lead order. It was just 10 A leads for a very long time. I bumped it up. I would bump it up to 15 if I needed it. Again, it's just whatever I needed. So it was never like, oh, I can only spend this much on leads. It's like, if I don't have enough appointments, I'm going to buy some more leads so that I can get more appointments on the books. I never had a week where I had less than 10 appointments. Of course, the goal was always to have 15. But I never had a week that I had less than 10 appointments. And fortunately, because I got through that learning curve quite quickly, my show rate was good and my close rate was pretty good. So I was able to write that amount of business on fewer amount of leads. So, but it was long days. Honestly, it was, in the office working from, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I have an 8-year-old daughter, so I would go pick her up from school and work a little bit, do dinner, put her to bed. And then fortunately at that time, she was going to bed at like 6:30, 6:30 at night still. So I'd work from 6:30 until 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah, I mean, doing what you have to do.
Yep.
I went through long seasons of working long hours
Yep.
because that was just required in that season.
Yep. And I'm still in that season, to be honest.
Yep.
I'm an agency owner, but I'm still writing business and trying to grow my agency. And so I'm still in that season with long hours, but knowing that it's just a season. It's not forever. And I can do it knowing that it's not going to be forever. And what I'm working towards is so worth what I'm missing out on right now.
Mm. Now, doing what you did, you've got new agents coming in. You obviously own your agency, and so you're growing this thing. When you bring new people in, they obviously I've never seen anyone put their hand up and say, you know what, I want to get my license. I want to come here. I just want to be mediocre for about a year and a half, end up sucking at this and quitting 2 years in. I see a lot of people do that, but I've never seen anyone tell me that that was their goal when they started. Their goal is always to go write a ton of business and make a ton of money. So how are you coaching your agents and what are you encouraging them to do in order to get off to the fast start you got off to?
Mhm. It really comes down to, first of all, tapping into their goals and what they're wanting here, right? Like we have to really dig into that. And if you don't know what you want here, and if you don't know what your goals are and why you're doing this, then it's going to be really difficult for you to actually show up for yourself in your business every single day because this is
Mm,
hard. It's really hard. And so, tapping into new agents' goals and what they want here, and then just talking about how much activity actually it does take to make it work. And most agents do that. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna just dial 50 dials. Well, no, you really need to dial and tell, and you've really got to, no matter what, and whether it's warm market, people that or your leads, you've got to sit, or you've got to get at least 10, 15 appointments on the books, because otherwise your sample size is way too small, right? You can't tell me that you booked 1 or 2 appointments, you're doing just enough to stay stuck, just enough to
mm.
stay stuck. So you just got to put in the massive activity. And that's where I see a lot of new agents just not willing to do the hustle to get there.
Yeah, I do see so much of again, it's that minimum investment piece,
Mhm.
but they're doing just enough to do exactly what you said, to stay stuck. It's like they've got this goal, I want to run a marathon. But then they show up and their training regimen looks like running a half mile 3 times a week and they never increase it. And I'm like, I don't care how many times you go run a half mile 3 times a week, you're not going to build the endurance to run a marathon. You're not doing enough to grow.
Yep.
And I watch people live in that cycle for so long, the minimum dials, minimum appointments, and never just breaking something open, massive dialing, massive lead spend, like break something. Instead of running a half mile, go nuts and run 10 miles, even if it means you got to walk a lot of it. Like just start breaking some rhythm and doing something different.
Yep, exactly. And even if you can't afford, massive lead spend, just buy massive leads. I mean, leads are 40 cents, get 50, 60, 100 of them and go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really good. So come in, hit top producer. You also hit agency owner in record time. Where did you find these agents and how did you have the confidence to talk them into coming to do business with you when you're brand new?
So I started recruiting on Craigslist, and that was in February, because I saw the vision. I saw, okay, well, if you want to go,
February, like Ignite, like you're
Mhm.
1 month in the
Yep,
back row of this thing,
yep.
and you're like, okay, I'm running out on ads on Craigslist. So I'm gonna start building, even though I still know nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I knew nothing. I pretended just like when you're running appointments, you just pretend like you know everything, right? So yeah, I started running ads on Craigslist, and I started building. Craig eventually got a recruiting platform going, but really for a couple, 3 months, I was running ads on Craigslist myself, and running the interviews and figuring it out, and killed a lot of agents in the because I didn't know what I was doing, but just we hear this a lot. We hear traffic cop, traffic cop. You don't have to know everything. You just have to guide your agents to where they should be. And so, as you are growing, you learn more and more. And I'm still obviously learning a lot about how to not kill off agents, but it's really about plugging in because the system works, and it obviously I'm a testament to that. And so you don't have to know everything to start building. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And same thing with agents and recruiting. The best time to recruit is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And so really just you don't have to be a top producer, or you don't have to write 5,000 a week or anything like that to start building, because we have such an amazing system and training and everything in a box, you perfectly tied up with a pretty bow. Just get your people here, just get them here, and the ones that are going to want to run with you will run with you, and you'll figure it out together.
I love that. What what's next for you?
Getting my agents promoted.
Heck yes.
I've got three leaders on my team that are running hard right now and recruiting and producing. And yes, I want them all to be team or key leaders by Ignite and agency owners by this time next year.
Yes, I love that so much. So much. What contract level are you right now?
I'm a 110.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And obviously the byproduct of helping them get to
Yep.
key lead and get to AO means 115 and 120. And those of you that are starting to lead, Jacob Pogue taught me this too. He's like, as you want to promote and you're building, just look at helping people. If you help them hit their goals, the byproduct of them hitting their goals is you hitting your goals. So you don't even need to talk about your goals. You don't need to do like, I don't think any of you guys know what my goals are. It's never been like, I don't think half of you guys even knew I was like running for 130
Mhm.
because I knew if I just helped enough of you get what you wanted, then I'd get where I was going to go. I love this
And
model
that's
for
the
that.
thing is that, I feel like for me, I put so much pressure on myself. And this is a lesson that I learned after being here for a year, is that I put so much pressure on myself to get to the next promotion and get to the next promotion. And some of that came because I didn't miss a promotion until I was a 105. Um, but but and I didn't have that foresight, like, okay, just focus on your people and you'll get your promotions. But now it's just so much more fun too, and it's just there's a lightness to it, and instead of just like kind of forcing it and strong arming your own promotions, now I'm just like, okay, what can I do to make sure not only do my agents get their promotions, but they are profitable, they are building a team themselves, so that they can then make impact on other people's lives. Like, how much impact can we make? And that's just such a more refreshing view for me, at least, where I feel like, okay, this feels sustainable for me, instead of strong arming and just racing and just running for my promotions. Like, how much impact can I make with my agents? How much impact can they make with their own agents and with clients? And that's so much more sustainable.
And I think that's the magic of Symmetry's culture
Mhm.
Like I hear that same message from leaders in every hierarchy. There are a lot of IMOs out there where your experience in that company has a lot to do with which team you're on. And there are elements where that's true here too. And there are some cultural differences, but the overall heart-led mission, I've heard that from every leader in this company, like almost without exception. It's really, really cool what we're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Um,
that's really apparent when you go to conference and you get to see
yeah.
them on stage, you know. It really is just something that's very different that I've never experienced before anywhere else.
Do you think there were elements, and of course there were, so I'm more asking which elements or what shaped it, experiences in your life coming up to here that helped pave the road for the learning curve to go as fast as it did for you? You obviously came here with some level of grit. Was there some way that where did you learn that? You came here with a humility and coachability, where you just trusted and did what your mentors told you to do and didn't overthink everything. Like, what were those shaping moments that you came here with kind of this like perfect package ready to go, versus having to come here first and then wrestle through that like a lot of people do?
Yeah, I had a lot of moments that, grew me into the person that I have become. And it's kind of a long backstory, but I part of the reason that I got that I got out of teaching was I was placed in a really challenging school in a role that I as a actual coach that I wasn't really prepared for, and just lots of like physical violence against me from children, and anyway, and all the while, my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He died within 6 months. My husband and I had two miscarriages back to back. So it was a lot of things happening that really, and I was in this woe is me mindset, right? That just, nothing can go right, that whole victim mindset. And that's kind of where I was operating for many years. And then kind of fast forward not too long, but shortly after all of that happened, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had a very healthy pregnancy. Everything was normal. But she decided to come 3 months early. And so she was 3 months premature, and we were in the hospital for 76 days, and she was on oxygen, and I was living in the hospital that whole time. And there was many moments where I didn't think that we were going to be able to bring her home. Where all hands on deck would come and you know do what they needed to do. And so it was there in the hospital that I realized, I she is fighting for her life in this isolette, and I want to show up as a very different person for her. There's
Mm,
no more victim mindset and mentality. I am showing up as um, someone who can overcome adversity, and with a determination that I want to show her how strong I can be, because she was so strong fighting for her life. And so I just changed everything. I started reading, I started journaling and doing yoga. And I just realized that I need to show up in a very different way for myself and for her. And so, long story short, that's kind of what I feel like really changed how I show up in the world, and how I want to show up in her eyes too, you know?
I'll tell you, I love knowing that, and I did not know that story before here. There's there's a tie that binds. I don't want to say every good leader, Bree, but every developed leader that I've met, and the tie that binds every developed leader is they can point to a season where they broke. Every one of them can point to a season where they broke, where they came to the end of themselves. They came to the, I tried it, it didn't work, and I broke. My ego broke, my ambition broke. I broke, and I had to be rebuilt on the blocks of humility.
Mhm.
Um, and until you get there. I don't know if people know how to choose that. I don't know if you can choose that. I don't know if you would choose that. I mean, I know my season and I know the season that broke me, and I know the man that came after that was a remarkably different man. The woman that went through that in the hospital, that came out of there was a different Bree than the
Mhm.
one that went in there. I mean, you hit this season, and I don't know that people have the power to choose it. I just know you can't lead well until it happens.
Mhm.
I never knew how to lead, but I didn't know how to lead. It was this like completely naive, completely blind until I broke. And then when there was no more ego left on the built on the ashes of that, it was like, okay, I know how to see other people with grace now. I know how to show up with grit because my ego doesn't get in the way. My ego got in the way of my grit so many times.
Mhm.
My ego got in the way of my ability to see others and extend grace and find humility. And so, um, seeing how fast you grew, I'm a big believer in the law of the lid, and that each of us is the lid on our business or the bottle cap. This is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws. So, you will never grow a business bigger than your capacity to lead it. Most people come in here, they've not broken yet. This is their first stint in anything where they're getting paid for results instead of time. And so they come in here with a twofold journey. They have to develop themselves and a business. That's going to take a long time. There's no way around that. Other people do a lot of developing before they ever show up here. And so when they come here, all they have to do is grow a business. And so when I see people come in and go fast, I didn't know your story, but I knew there was a story because nobody comes in here and goes fast without having broken, without having come to the end of themselves, without having something in their life experience develop them to a point where all they're doing here is they're coming and growing a business to this incredible wide open level that they like lid that they have because they've developed before they came.
Yeah.
I thank you for
And that's
sharing
why it's
that.
so important to not compare, right? To put those blinders on because everybody comes here at a different stage and with different life experiences. And my heart isn't more difficult than anyone else's heart. But it's that is probably the one of the most challenging things for people and an area that I am really working on in myself. It's a growth opportunity for me is just to put those blinders on and focus on growing yourself in order to grow your business because you cannot compare it to anybody else's because we all come with different backgrounds and different different abilities to overcome that adversity and to power through. And we all have different life lessons that we have to learn along the way.
What um what were some of those shaping influences and resources when you said you needed to show up different? You started reading books. What books or podcasts or resources were instrumental for you? What are you recommending to your team?
Well, for me, a lot of it, at least in the NICU, a lot of it was just being able to get quiet and truly like listen to my own inner voice, right? Or God or whoever it is that you listen to. That was a big one for me. I know that I highly, highly, highly recommend having it like miracle mornings, having kind of a ritual in the morning where you are reading and writing your affirmations and sitting in silence and all of those things. And that is without having read that book back then when I went through that experience, I was doing those things.
Mhm.
And then, came here and read the book and was like, okay, yeah, that's why it worked. So I would definitely recommend Miracle Mornings for getting all of those, getting your mindset right first thing in the day is so important and going through that process.
What are the biggest resources, if you're a traffic cop bringing new people in, what are the biggest resources you're pointing new people to help get their questions answered, to help them grow? What are you leveraging?
Team calls, of course, hopping on team calls, the accountability call at 6 a.m. Pacific. And then we use the Chris Leak Mortgage Protection University and Sales Mastery course. That for me, if you have not heard of it or if you're not in it, that was a game changer for me. Being able to really come in with scripts and a process and hierarchy of products and everything that you need to learn this business. It's so comprehensive. And so we really direct new agents to that. So yeah, highly, 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 highly recommend that. It's like $50. So well worth the investment. And then getting running buddies, finding somebody that you want to run this business with, that can challenge each other and push each other and grow each other, and not someone to complain to, because that's an easy trap to get into. But someone that can call you up, is another resource. And getting to get your butt in those seats and bring people with you, getting to conference.
I love it. I love that you guys have plugged into the accountability call. You guys have brought such incredible energy there. Joni, where do we find Chris Leak Mortgage Protection University? I will show you. If you go to larsonlifegroup.com/onboarding, I put it in there. That's going to ask you things. Where are you at in your journey? I haven't even started. I have my license, but haven't applied to Symmetry. And then lastly, I got my Symmetry welcome email. If you go to that middle one, I have my license, but I haven't applied to Symmetry. We plug people into the Chris Leak course too. So it's that stage after you've been through pre-licensing, you have your license, but you're still waiting to apply to Symmetry, or you're past your test. You're still waiting on your license, waiting on contracts. That is the perfect time. And yes, SFG Quotes has a link to it too. A lot of Symmetry leverages that.
Yeah.
Bree, next week, Tuesday morning, early for you, can you bring some content to the accountability call?
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, how can I say no in front of 50 people?
I know. The minute you're like in the accountability call, like, huh, she don't know, but she gonna speak on that next week. All right, I'm gonna put you in for Tuesday.
Okay.
I look forward to it already. Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening. Guys, can we leave Bree some love in the comments here? As I tell you, for a lot of our guests, she doesn't come on here just for like, hey, that was a good talk. She wants to know that she made an impact. And so even the love in the comments is great. But what she'd really love is for you to come up to her at Ignite and be like, hey, when we heard you on that Larson call, that changed something for me. I made a decision that night and I followed through, and I wouldn't be where I am now had I not heard from you, because once I heard from you, I believed like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. That would be more meaningful than anything else. That would be worth all of this hour to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's all it is it's deciding. You can decide right now.
Yeah. So good.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming on here. I'm so excited to run this race with you. It's so funny for me, like being a 130 and equity partner, but also being really new in this company. I find none of my friends are the 130 equity partners. I feel more like this, like the generation that's up and coming in leadership. It's like I'm here the same amount of time the new people are. Like I happen to grow fast, but I'm excited to do this with you. We've got a big career to build. We've got a lot of impact we're gonna make. And I'm really glad we're connected this early in the game.
Same, me too.
Cool.
Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good night, y'all. This replay will be up on YouTube tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.